Welcome back to another episode of Wheel to Wheel. Rank a case in the Ferrari red.
Yes, sir. We had to break it out.
Is that actually a Ferrari sweatshirt?
It is.
So I actually almost wore my Williams shirt, and then I was like, I can't do it." I think I wore it in like the hidden gem posting that never got posted because it got trashed. But yeah, no, I have two Williams shirts that my dog totally didn't stain one of them, but we got it out, so we're good.
It's
But
back.
today we did ranking teams based on the skill we believe their driver lineups were, and now we're just gonna do straight up constructors, team constructors, not just drivers championship. So let's see what's going on there. You want to do a flip the coin again? To see who goes first.
Sure.
You ready?
Yeah. Flip it again. I want heads. I want heads.
I
There was a little delay on my screen.
I got tails.
I should have known.
All right. It's 50-50, Grant. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to, your probability wouldn't have changed regardless of what was first or wasn't. So, we're
Very
locked
fair.
in. But who do I think is going to get 10th in the constructors? I think this is the same as driver lineup rating.
Yeah.
Wait, no, it's not. No, it's not because we put RB.
True.
I think Kick has the worst. And
I agree.
because of that, I think they're going to have the worst performance. I think their driver lineup's not the worst. I think Hulk and I think Bortoletto shows promise. Hulk we know is good, even in a slow car like the Haas, which is arguably pretty fast last year. But I don't know. That car sucks so bad, and they don't really care. They're waiting for Audi next year. This is kind of a punt. Yeah, they suck.
Focus is elsewhere. I'm with you. I'm gonna go Alpine 9. I just don't think. Yeah, dude. I don't think that driver situation is good, and
What?
I think. Well, I can't say what I think is going to happen because that may sway your next pick, but I don't know. I think the driver situation, even just preseason, the fact that Jack Doone's getting already shoved under the rug a little bit isn't going to bode well for him.
Yeah, but I'm biased. I think I'm biased. I don't know though because they were so good at the end of last year.
Right.
And then even if Duhan goes five to six races, like Colapinto had half a season last year and scored more points than Sargent. So like I think Colapinto we all know is going to be driver 2 for the end of the year and most likely for the majority of the season. I think they have two guys that are capable of scoring lots of points.
I agree with the capability, but I also think there's so many variables that could go into this. Like Alpine could hold on to engines and drop all new components in at the end of the year because the past few years they've excelled towards the end of the years. It may be the tracks, it may be components, it's all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to leave them at 9.
Well, you know that they're no longer doing in-house production for their engine next year, right? They're Mercedes.
They're Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, are they going to throw everything at the season because it's their last season? And is that going to put them to an advantage? You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, this is the last time we're making things in-house, so the team's going to go all out for this season? Or is it going to be, as we've talked about, just kind of a let's wait for 2026 and actually... I think this one's interesting because I agree it could go how you're talking, but I also think it could go the other way around where Alpine's kind of a sneaky, really good lineup.
Like that middle marker that Aston Martin was a few years ago that they made a push. I could see him being that too. But I mean, it's crazy too because they have all the celebrity investors. I don't know how they pull that card, but they have like Mahomes and
Kelsey, Ryan Reynolds,
yeah, etc. I mean, they've got the money behind it. I think they may be forward looking though into 26, like you were saying.
Okay. Hurts me, but I think this next one, I think 8 is Williams.
Really?
I think it's Williams. I think while our driver lineup is great, I'm in between Williams and RB.
Yeah.
I think the Haas is going to be very quick, and I think we've talked about this in the driver ratings, but Alonso is going to outscore all the teams that get ranked behind Aston Martin just on his own, most likely.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm just trying to run this through in my head. Williams, James Vowles has said since the beginning 2026 is the main focus. So we know 2025 potentially can be a full punt. We did just pull in a huge sponsorship, and I'm fully blanking on the name because it literally got announced today. But there's money coming in, but I just don't know how much of that is actually going to be put into this year. But we're debuting a car on time. We're actually debuting a car early on Valentine's Day in a secret camo because you can't expose the livery because they're all doing live livery reveals together for the 70. What is it? The 75th or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
So we have the car ready, unlike last year. So there's a lot of things pointing that the car is going to be better than last year, but I don't think that means the car is going to be better than a lot of the other cars in the grid. I think our lineup is amazing, and I'm so excited for Carlos and Alex to both be in the car. But I really am doubting us being able to get past RB. I think RB just has a better car. Like their car last year wasn't that bad.
It wasn't bad.
And they still have Yuki driving, and I think Yuki knows that car sadly way too well because they haven't moved him up. So I think it's like a veteran driving in that. But then again, I don't think Hadjar is going to be very good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Should I just go with my ego and just let Williams be 7? No,
I mean,
I placed it.
you placed it. You
I'm
placed
leaving
it.
I'm leaving it. All right.
As we kind of just said, I think you would argue with me that RB could finish higher than Aston in a world,
Yeah.
but I'm going to put RB at 7.
I wouldn't put, what is it, RB in front. I think you think I hate Aston more than I do. I don't really hate
I do
Aston.
think you hate Aston.
I don't hate Aston. I just don't. I think it's just frustrating that there's a seat being filled by somebody I just believe it doesn't have the potential to be a race winner.
Yeah.
Well, hasn't Stroll
Fair.
won a race before, actually?
I have no idea.
Whatever. Yeah, sorry, I kind of already talked that whole entire point into that one. So I left you stranded there.
No.
After this, Haas versus Aston Martin.
You're a Haas lover this year.
I don't like Haas because they're a direct competitor of Williams.
Right.
I do think Haas has a great lineup, though. I do think their car was surprisingly fast last year.
I think Ollie's the guy.
I think Ollie's the guy. Let's be weird. Let's do Aston Martin 6.
Yeah. I think it's respectable. I mean,
Haas Aston Martin just has so much funding, so it's like hard to even like think that Haas is going to.
Yeah. I think Aston Martin will always pose a threat. I think the real threat comes in 2026 when they get back to a small car where, I mean, Alonso excelled in that era.
Newey has to be able to develop in time, and he said he's so super far behind schedule.
Yeah.
It could all just be blowing smoke just to get everybody off his ass.
I got a feeling that guy could blink and create a car that's faster than 7 through 10.
Probably. All right, so Aston, and then this is you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think the only choice is Haas at 5, which is crazy to say. I mean,
is the only choice.
A couple years ago, you'd have been comparing them with Sauber down there. And
remember how mad everybody was when Gunther left?
Mm-hmm. I like Gunther. I think Gunther's
do too. I'm not hating on him, but I'm just saying
he's a great personality. He gets out there. He gets on podcasts. It's great personality. But hate to see him go. Team has improved since he left. So
most definitely. And they went with wasn't he their race engineer?
I think so.
Which I like. It was in house, which I think is super cool.
Yeah. The old internal posting.
And I like their lineup. We talked about it. I think Ollie's legit, and we know Esteban's talented. There's no hiding that. I don't think he's necessarily a crowd favorite, just because I don't think he does anything to really like stand out. I think that's probably on purpose. He's just not really like a media guy. But I don't know. I think they could be really.
Yep. Agreed. Definitely agree.
Also, he's not at the freaking team that just like incinerates your soul.
Yeah.
Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
So did I just do hot? No, you did. I'm lost. I apologize. I think this obviously is a toss up between Mercedes and Red Bull. Mercedes and Red Bull are no longer fighting for 1 and 2. They're fighting for 3 and 4.
That's what we think, at least.
Yeah, for real. Until Williams gets fourth, bro, it's gonna be crazy. I'm playing. I think Red Bulls. Why?
I think you do because there's a little bit of uncertainty.
I think I do. I think the car is potentially not going to be crazy dominant. I think they're extremely unsure with their future with Max.
Hmm.
Potentially feeling rebuild, potentially not. I think it's either going to be a rebuild feel or it's going to be a this is our last year to go for a world championship. But the thing is they prioritize Max over the team. It really does feel like that,
Hmm.
especially with a young driver. They just let the young drivers kind of get eaten alive. So I picture them catering towards Max heavily, making sure he gets everything he needs. And at the end of the day, if Lawson gets lost in the dust, they're just going to leave him there. Will they pull up Yuki, even if Lawson is performing horribly? I don't think so. I
I
think
don't
they
think so
leave
either.
Lawson in the car the whole year, even if he performs horribly. So
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be a similar story to this past year with Checo. They'll leave him in there. He'll score a point every now and again. He may crash out every other race, but they'll stick with what they know. I think a point with Red Bull is that as much as I hate to say it, Horner always figures it out. I don't love the guy. I know he gets a lot
he
of
just has a go. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, like dude keeps his foot on the gas. He makes it work. I mean, guess he kind of has to, but
Mm,
I don't know. They'll
I
figure
don't know.
something.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think Max will be up there in the drivers' championship, but I do think team wise, I don't see them. I don't see him going 1-2. I could see him getting third.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, for three.
Uh, Strictly due to inexperience, I'm going to go Mercedes. It's hard to say. I mean, he came in, crash car in Monza.
Get me?
Yeah, it's like the kid has talent. There's no doubt about that. However, you don't know.
No, I agree.
It's a young driver. It's a high pressure seat. He didn't have to warm up like George had at Williams, which George performed great at Williams.
I think
You can't say no to that.
hot or cold take, I'm not sure. I think George potentially has his best year.
Good take. I'm with you on that. He'll excel. The team's on his back.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that. I'm not a George hater. There's a ton of George haters. I'm not at all.
I'm not either. I like
I
George.
like George. So I'm excited to see him do that. And I do think though they do know they're set up very pretty for 2020.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a heavy focus on development for Kimmy, and
Mhm.
they just really want to make sure that goes well. But I think they're sitting very pretty for next year,
Yeah.
regardless of what happens this year.
It's seat time for Kimmy. It's what he needs.
All right, this is a tough one. Driver lineup wise, we talked about this. Leclerc
Yeah.
Hamilton's the craziest thing ever.
Yep.
I mean, if you're looking at it, it's crazy. But the McLaren last year was so quick. The Ferrari was catching up to it. And I think there's a chance Ferrari could go all in on their car again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about like recency bias, I have to think that McLaren has probably a higher chance of winning the constructors.
Yeah.
So I have to put Ferrari at second.
I think last year was a great show for McLaren and the consistency that Lando and Oscar provide. They there was very few times that they made real mistakes, and you can make the argument that Lando made mistakes and got bailed out, like he bumped a couple walls, locked up a whole bunch, whatever. They finished, they scored, and they'll carry that momentum into this year. And I'm with you. I think it's going to be a tight battle for the Constructors Championship. I think any of these top four teams have a good chance, but based on last year, like you said, historical evidence, you take McLaren.
I feel like I took, since I started, I just basically set up all of your picks. I feel like you weren't able to have any crazy picks. The only one that really blew my mind was Alpine, but obviously just by process of elimination.
Yep.
I'm not shocked by this. So we got McLaren 1, Ferrari 2, Mercedes 3, Red Bull 4, Haas 5, Aston Martin 6, B's or RBV. I never even know what to call them anymore, bro. 7, Williams 8, Alpine 9, and Kick 10. I think Alpine, if I had to pick where I think Alpine's gonna go, I think they might finish 7th or 6th. But
Yeah.
I have I have
That's the
no
thing. A lot of these teams, with driver lineups considered, a lot of these teams have a lot of potential. So it's when push comes to shove, who can perform, who can score. As we, get into the season and we start having our weekly recordings of, how did teams perform,
mhm.
we'll come back to this, compare and contrast where we were or what we projected. But I think we're in for a really good season this year. I think last year the start was slow. You had the runaway, and the back markers, if you will, not all the way back, but started closing in. When you
Yep.
gain ground like that, you strike fear into a team that had the runaway. So I think we're in for a great year.
I agree. I think this year's gonna be awesome. Who's your sleeper team of the year?
My sleeper team of the year, I'm going to go Haas.
I agree with you. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. Please roast us. Tell us what you think. I was looking at some charts of driver rankings, like the driver lineup rankings, as we did before without the car in place, and people had Kick way higher than we had. I saw like somebody
Really?
had Kick at like 6th.
Nah, no
So,
chance.
but people really like Bortoletto, which is fair. I mean, he's a great young driver, but he's still a young driver, so I don't know.
That homie hasn't even driven an
I
F1
was just
car.
about to say that he hasn't even been in an F1 car. So, but hey, dude, Max gave him a nickname, so that means if Max likes him, he has to be fast. I've literally been hearing that narrative. I'm like, whatever, miss me with
Yeah.
that, dude. I don't need that.
Yeah, let's just gaslight people into thinking that.
So, whatever. Should be interesting though. I'm with you. Should be a good year. Excited to see what happens.
Yeah, should be a blast.